My name is Beyang. I work at SourceGraph, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to use gRPC Gateway to auto-generate all the code for your API clients and server. So a little context. I work at SourceGraph. SourceGraph is a hosted and on-prem code search and browsing tool for Go. It's a pretty complex web application. If you use Go in open source or also inside your company, you should check us out. We're really useful for like searching and browsing code. We actually have like a pre-release preview for GopherCon people. If you go to src.sgdev.org, you can actually download a binary of SourceGraph that you can just run on your local code. So basically, like a lot of web applications, there's roughly 3 layers in our architecture. There's a front end that's responsible for generating HTML. That calls back to an API server, which responds with sometimes JSON, in our case protobuf. And that in turn calls into the lower level data store to fetch the data. And when a request comes in from a user, it goes to their web front end, hits the API server all the way down to the data store, and then goes back up and we serve data to the user. So the interesting thing about how we do all this is we use gRPC Gateway, which Peter Borgen mentioned in his talk on GoKit on Wednesday, to auto-generate a lot of the code. And that's nice because first, you can generate an API client across all the different languages that gRPC Gateway supports. I think it's like 3 or 4 different languages right now, so you don't have to like go through and manually write API clients in each different language. Second of all, the auto-generated code automatically generates like all the core data structures, endpoints, and parameter structures that you need, and supports having an API in both HTTP2 and HTTP1. And so an example of the code is we just define everything in protocol buffer files. So this is actually taken from our public open source client repository, which is just sourcegraph.com/sourcegraph/go-sourcegraph. It's on the NoDB branch right now. And what we do is we define all the services they want to support. So we have like a repository service that serves information about code repositories in protocol buffers. And then we use gRPC Gateway to generate Go code that produces a Go client and a client in Python, other different languages, as well as a server that serves that information. And so just don't just take my word for it. You can actually browse all this code yourself. So I'm going to pop over to the actual code here. So I'm looking at the sourcegraph.proto file, which is where our entire API is defined. You can see it's just protocol buffers are defining a service called repos with different gRPC endpoints. And then I hop over to the auto-generated file. All this code is automatically generated on our behalf by gRPC Gateway. And using SourceGraph's nice code browsing interface, I can click on anything. I think I'm having Wi-Fi difficulties. But I get like I should be getting usage examples here to see how different parts of our endpoint are called elsewhere. And everything is clickable. You can jump to definition. And this is the file where we have a bunch of Go-generated directives that run the corresponding commands to auto-generate the code from the .proto to the .go file. So you can just take a look at that. If you guys are interested in using gRPC Gateway, it's a good example to follow if you're doing that. And here's just a list of other cool tools that we use to auto-generate code. We use gOXC to, well, that's not really auto-generating, but we use gOXC to cross-compile. So that lets us ship you a binary that you can just download on either Mac or Linux really easily. I think M, who is the creator of gOXC, is around here somewhere. Thanks, M, for making such an awesome tool. We use Go bin data to compile static assets into the binary, so we don't have to ship our users or customers anything beyond just a single Go static binary. And then we use this tool that we wrote ourselves called GenMocks to automatically generate testing mocks for all the data structures that you just saw. And so that's basically it. I just want to say gRPC Gateway is awesome. You should definitely consider it if you're building a web application with a publicly available API that you want to make accessible to your users. Lets you succinctly define all your API endpoints and core data structures in protocol buffer and automatically generate clients in multiple different languages as well as the server. So it's really cool. Just want to give a shout out to Dimitri Steven and Quinn, who are members of the SourceGraph team, they actually wrote most of the code that I'm talking about here. I am just a reader of the code. And if you want a link to this talk, it's up at github.com/sourcegraph/talks. And if you're interested in exploring Go code, either in open source or in your private repositories, check out SourceGraph. Hope you like it. That's it.